It's my pleasure to bring to you the second in our webinar series. This is Get More Done Faster with Drag and Drop Modeling. And Joe, how do I sound? Can you hear me okay?
You sound great.
Great, thank you so much. Awesome. Well, I'll get started. I'll get my face off the screen. This is being recorded for those who wish to see it at a later date. We are excited to bring you this Get More Done Faster drag and drop modeling. And what I'm going to do is jump right into the webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me, and I'll either respond immediately or once the webinar is complete. Our agenda for today is very simple. I'm going to introduce you to your IronCAD USA team, who we are, and how we can work together to deliver results for you. I'm going to show you some examples of drag and drop modeling inside of IronCAD, what it is and how it works. And then more importantly, I'm going to explain how it helps and how it helps you to get more done faster. And then finally, the idea that we can help you to make it happen. I am somewhat allergic to PowerPoint, so I'm going to spend a very little amount of time in here, but I just want to introduce you. You've seen my ugly mug, and I reside in California and help support the IronCAD USA group. I have Joe with us today up in Washington, Igor over in Minneapolis, and my friend Matt down in Tennessee, and the IronCAD. And we have a number of different resellers around the nation that are here to support you, all very expert and knowledgeable in the product. So let's get right into why we're here. What is drag and drop modeling? Well, IronCAD's drag and drop catalog system is a 3D palette for useful CAD data such as parts, features, tools, materials, animations, and more. And the whole idea is to help you get more done faster. And I'm about to show you, I'll go straight into the product. You can drag and drop anything. So I'm going to stop this PowerPoint and go into a scene. And this is today we're going to be working in a millimeter part, but you can work in millimeter, inches, feet, you name it. And, you know, this is a rather interesting presentation because a friend gave me a sketch, and this is the simple sketch that I was handed. And this simple sketch said, okay, Bobby, I need to make a part that is 116 millimeters long by 72 millimeters wide by 13 millimeters high. And so it was just a simple sketch. And so how does drag and drop modeling work? Well, we have catalog. And as you can see on the right side of the screen, I'll highlight that for you. This is our catalog area. And of course, you can move this catalog anywhere you want. I have some people that enjoy to have it down on the bottom of the screen, but the bottom, you can have this anywhere. You can control your product. And so to show you how I can convert this simple sketch into 3D geometry in a simple way, I'm going to come into a catalog of shapes. That's only one thing that we can actually use, but I'm going to use these shapes, and I'm going to take a block, drag it, and pop it onto the screen. Now, at the moment, I don't know how big it is, so I just popped it into space, but I know that if I pick on a drag handle, I can pull this and make it a certain size, or I already know what the size box sizes are, so I'm going to come in and just say, edit the size box. Tells me, okay, well, what's the length? I see the length over here is 116 millimeters, so 116. And how wide? 72 mil, good. And how high? It's 13 millimeters. Oh, excellent. So there's my first part. And let me just pull this out of the way a little bit because I'm going to use my tripod just to take my sketch, move it up so I can see, yeah, put the sketch there. Now I'm working with the sketch, so I now have my part, which is 116 by 72 by 13. Well, that was easy. I'm not having to sketch the part. I sketch it, of course, on the piece of paper, but what I really want to be able to do with this is I want to be able to add, and I'll zoom in on this so that you could see it. I want to add, and no comments, Joe or Igor or any of my friends about this bad sketch. I often get sketches. I need to add a boss on the top of this that's 46 wide by 3 high. Rather than have to sketch that, the simple thing is I just go over here, grab a block with the left mouse button. Oh, notice that it's highlighting the top plane. And if I drag over this point, I'm guaranteed that it's putting this block right in the middle of the part. Well, how do I make it the right size? Okay, well, I don't actually know perhaps how big this is, but if I hold the shift key down, it'll find this plane and I can automatically snap to any geometry. I can snap to a point, I can snap to an edge, I can snap to a face. Next thing I want to do is zoom in, and how wide is it? 46 millimeters. Okay, come on in here. I want this handle, I want it to drag around the center, and I'm just going to enter 46. And how high should it be? Well, according to my little sketch, it's exactly 3 millimeters high. When I let go, I'm hoping that this is going to look exactly like this one. There you go. I've added a 3 millimeter sketch or box on top of this without any sketching. Kind of easy to do. Now I notice on the bottom there's a cutout. So on the cutout, how do I do that? Well, if you'll notice over here, friends, you'll see that I used a positive block here to add this to the top. Well, we also have negative shapes. So what I'm going to do is turn this around and now say, I want to put a negative shape on the bottom. Same idea. Oh, so now I'm cutting with this, come out to the front. How do I do that? Shift, grab the front, find this back face. And then as I zoom in to see, well, how wide should this be? Oh, this should be equidistant, 46. How deep? Well, we had said it should be exactly 3 millimeters deep. There you go. So I'm creating this sketch without this part without having to do any sketching at all. I used a positive part on the top and a negative shape on the bottom. What other kinds of tools? Well, what if I need to put in these? I'm looking at, what are they? M10 by 1.5, typical 4 places. Let's put the holes in. All right. Now I notice over here I have a cylinder, but I don't actually want to put in a cylinder. I want to put in a real hole because I see they're threaded holes. So I'm going to go to a different catalog type and use a drag and drop shape from my tools catalog. I've got lots of different tools: bearings, holes, fasteners, gears. Well, we're creating a hole, so I'm going to come out and say, I want to drag a hole to this corner. And now, what kind of hole is this? Well, we're not in an inch part, we're in a metric part. And according to my little sketch, it tells me it's a 10 millimeter threaded. Now, there we go. 10, and here are all my choices by one. No, I want it 1.5, exactly what it should be. And, you know, I really need this hole depth. Yeah, that's fine. I know it's going to go through this part because it was only a 13. We'll go through 14. Good enough, and put the hole in there. And this is an absolute great example of how to break drills. I don't really want that right on the edge there. I need it 10 millimeters in from the front face here. So I need a way to be able to move this thing over so that it's going to move over 10 millimeters this way and 10 millimeters this way. And I do that very simply using the patented tri-ball. That is an absolute marvelous tool that is very useful in IronCAD. So I'm going to simply use it in the easiest way I know. Take this, move this over 10 millimeters that way, and then drag this handle and simply push it in 10 millimeters this way. So that was a simple way to guarantee that I'm 10 millimeters from this face and 10 millimeters from that face. But there are even easier ways to do that using the tri-ball. And, you know, let's undo again, bring it right back to the beginning. I'm going to use this tool, top, to say, move in 2 dimensions. Move it over. Yes, move this here. And it brings up a menu that, again, lets me say, by the way, anytime you use the right mouse button, it'll bring up a menu. So in one move, I was able to do that easily. Now watch this. I want to move this over to the other side because I need 4 of these. They're typical. All right, easy. Grab this center hole and move it all the way to the other side. There, snap to this line. Great. Link this there. You know what? Not on the edge. Move it back 10 mil. Super easy. Now I've got that one over on this side. Pick up both of these with a shift select, turn on my tri-ball again, and I want to highlight and move it all the way over to the other side because I need 4 of these. Put it there, yep, link it, fine. And by the way, not on the edge, move it back 10 millimeters. So I'm guaranteed these are in the right location for me, and I have 4 holes, M10 by 25. Anything else I need to do? Let me look at my quick sketch. R12, typical, done. Okay, I don't need my sketch anymore. I'll throw it away. And now, if you'll notice in this webinar, I haven't had to come up here at all. I haven't had to search through menus. I'm simply focusing on the geometry in the screen in front of me and building that geometry and not hunting and pecking through menus. And so I'm just looking at my geometry, click to this point and say, blend this. 12 millimeters here, 12 millimeters on this side, 12 mil here, and 12 mil over here. Better get it. There's my 4, I'm done. And I've now created the first shape in this assembly. And that's an exciting thing that we're gonna be doing. And you know what? I'm gonna name this, this is my mounting plate. And this is how difficult or easy it is. I just come over and say, this part is now my mounting plate, and I'm gonna use this mounting plate again in the future. So what do? Simply highlight it, pick it up, and drop it into a catalog. And this mounting plate, by the way, is anytime I start fresh and come into my system, I can simply pick it up and drag it out. And there's the mounting plate ready for use anytime in the future with all of the information intact. Now I've got some other pieces stored here, so I'm going to make an assembly of all these pieces. Simple, grab a bracket. Oh, somebody's built a bracket. I need to move it into position, so I use my tri-ball. Tri-ball is anchored there. I want this to be located down over here. So I right click on the tri-ball and say, hey, take it to the middle point of this edge. Wonderful, made it directly into position. That's where I want it to be. Now, I need another one on the other side. So I can free up the tri-ball and simply do this. Say, take this tri-ball, put it at the center of my part, and then give me a mirror linked image of this thing on the other side. Simply takes this and copies it around the middle and puts it over there. Excellent for me. And we're already starting to build our, notice we've used this with drag and drop, bracket number 1. And how were these created? With the same technique. Cylinders, blocks, holes, extrudes, done. Grab a bushing. Put the bushing directly in this hole. Oh, pop-up menus. This is Bobby. The new part assembly dropped on a pattern or linked feature. I've got another one over here. Do you want to duplicate? Absolutely. Save me some time. Done. So because it knew I've got something on this side that's linked over here, anything I do to this model will be replicated over on this side. Excellent. Now, grab my shaft. I've got a shaft over here and put it right in. Do you want another one? No, I only need one shaft. And that's not quite far enough along, so I need to put it into position, but I want to control it. It's exactly on the center line. So I'm locking the center line and saying with the tri-ball, move this to the center point of this geometry. Now I can check my work and look, absolutely, it's equidistant there. So you're seeing how easy it is now. I'm putting this assembly together. I'm not considering assembly constraints or any of those kind of things. I'm just working with the geometry that's here. Noticing I've got a roller that I need to add. So I'm going to zoom in and say I want to add a roller, and well, there's the roller dropped into the scene. What would happen if I drop the roller directly on a piece of geometry? Let's see what intelligence is built in here. Nicely done. It actually knows that it needs to put this directly on this part because of the anchor. And now I need to set this right in the middle. So how do I do that? Simple. Highlight this so it can only move in the X and Y. And by the way, you've seen that, or sorry, only move along this axis. So I'm moving it. But I really want the center point, this, to be right in the middle between perhaps this and this circle. And now I've actually moved this along that line so it's lodged right in the center. And I noticed that whoever built this actually built it, and it's a little bit too heavy. So I want to lighten it up a little bit. I'm going to go back to a simple shape, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just take a cylinder. I'm going to pop a cylinder right in the middle. I'm going to make this cylinder only 8. So I've got a beautiful that. And you know what I'm going to do? I want to actually lighten the whole thing up. I'm going to put this in the center of this. And now I'm going to use that to create a pattern of these. And watch this. Create a radial pattern. I don't know, how many do I want? I want 18 of these. And I don't know what the distance is. So it's 360 divided by 18. So give me 18 of those holes. Excellent. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So I've lightened up that cylinder by, good, great. So I've built this assembly, and I realize now I don't have a handle, and I can look through all of my tools. I can look through all of my different catalogs, and I see I don't have a handle. I need to go and grab a non-native or a part from the internet. So what I'm going to do is run over to Trace Parts here, and I'm going to go to the Trace Part community. And you're watching this live, so I'm running out to Trace Parts and saying I need to go and get a handle, and there's thousands and thousands of parts that are available online. And here is the trace part directly from IronCAD, and this is included free of charge. So I see something for handles, so give me some adjustable indexing handles. Oh, there's a number of different. Go and grab this one with a threaded screw. Excellent. So I've highlighted this, and it says this is the handle you want. Which size do you want? Well, gosh, I don't know. I'm in the middle of showing you all this, so I'm going to log into my system and download this particular handle directly from the internet. And we're downloading, and as you can see here, it's now coming in. Took that long. It's quite quick. Show it in the folder. Don't need to be in Trace Parts anymore. And here we are in a simple folder. Go ahead and unzip this, extract it right here. You'll notice, look what we've got. There's the lever, and I simply drag and drop this into IronCAD. And as you can see, we've got this part. Oh, I noticed it did come in as an inch part. So we're still working in millimeters today. So simple way of changing that. Here's the handle that came directly from Trace Parts. And you know what? I want to save this handle now. So what I'm going to do is, remember where we saved this mounting plate, looking at it, I'm going to just simply, the way it is, pick it up and drop it in for use. Don't need this anymore. No, I don't want to save anything. Now, take this handle that I just grabbed, drop it into my scene. What if I do the same thing that I did before? What if I take this handle and drop it right on the center of this? No, it doesn't have intelligence built into it, so I'm just going to position it, move this 90 degrees, and move it out of my way, because I do want to check something. And I just got a question from George from Ohio. He asked me, well, this is a non-native part. What if I want to change something on this part? Well, I didn't design it, so I'm going to come in here and just say, well, let me check something. I'm going to check on my system right now. What is the diameter of this hole? That's 6 mil. What's the diameter? That's 5 mil. Oh, so my non-native part doesn't have the same size. So I'm going to escape out of this. Say, oh gosh, I don't want that. I don't delete that away from me. And I don't need that either. And what about this? Oh, that was 5 millimeters. Just get rid of that. So how do I do this? Let me look at this. If I select on this part and actually on this face, oh, offset that face. How much? I don't know. 0.5 millimeter. Go ahead. So I've drawn that. Remember, I just grabbed this out of a catalog, and let's take it and move it back into the part. So be careful. I want this to go directly into this, and now I've got a press fit handle that's fitting on my assembly that, remember, didn't exist before. We grabbed it off the internet. Now, I know Joe's going to get upset with me, but I have to look at this. He designed this part, and I didn't actually like the way he designed it because he's got metal. He's got this shaft directly on here. And as an engineer, I'm looking at that and I'm going, Joe, I'm concerned because this bracket that you originally designed with all these different pieces, you know, you created, I happen to know down here that you did a hole, and I'm going to make that 24 and open that up. And if I look inside here, I can see, oh, he's got metal on metal. Well, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to show you another really neat catalog. And this is a catalog that has intelligence built into the components. So I'm going to go into a mechanical library, and I'm going to grab and put a bearing on this shaft simply by, okay, I want you to look at this. Now measure what is the appropriate size. So it's gone into a library called IC Mechanical, and it's found a bearing that is 12 millimeters. It automatically measured this size and picked the appropriate bearing. And of course, I could change to a roller bearing, different types, or different type double ball bearings. And so I'm just going to use the ball bearing for now. And I'm going to say, yep, 21 was the right size. I have the make it automatic. They'll come back in here. Good, 12, 21. That's it. That's the one I want to use. And I notice it's right out here. There's no way for me to hold it here. So I need to push it in a little bit. I'm going to push it in about 3 millimeters on that shaft. Good, excellent. So now it's 3 millimeters on there, but it's not being held by anything. So I need to actually hold it. Best way that I know to hold that bearing in place. Oh, wait a second. I just noticed something else. This is 24 mil. Oh, I need that to fit snug up against that, so what do? I come in and say, oh, snug up against the outside of that, and it's exactly 21.055. That was the outside diameter of that bearing. Excellent. So now I've got it snugged up against that bearing, and let me just check that once more. I actually think it's 21 because I pulled it out of the library. Now, I need a Seeger ring. Grab a Seeger, put it directly on here. Absolutely perfect. Now, what do I want to do with this? That Seeger needs to actually be pushed in and touch the bearing. So highlight this axis, take the center point and just snug it up against the bearing and say, that's where I want it. And something quite wonderful is actually happening with this. At the same time that it's doing that, it's actually cutting the hole too. So not only did this Seeger ring come in and cut this part, but it also put it into position, snugged up against here, and cut the slot so that it fits in perfectly into position. I've got this on one side. Let's pick it up, highlight one, shift pick the other, grab this tri-ball, put the tri-ball right at the center of the part here, lock it into position. And what do I want to do with the tri-ball? Just give me a linked copy on the other side. So now what have I done? I've actually got these with the cut on both sides because they're linked. We're building a pretty cool assembly here. I want to make sure that this assembly, by the way, how difficult is it to assemble it? This difficult. Grab everything in a box, right click on it and say assemble. I have now one assembly of this called the mounting plate assembly. And as you can see, what we've done is our mounting plate assembly. I got to check my bearing mount, folks. So I'm going to highlight this, grab a tool. This is the first time we're going into the menus. Go ahead and section that. Now let's see which plane. XC plane. I want to set, yep, XC. Where? Right in the middle of this. So we're sectioning. Good. Oh, you went the wrong way. So do me a favor, reverse that orientation. And I want this to be very precise. So I'm going to look into the part. We're now working in 3D. Oh, I found a problem. See where we put this bearing in? When Joe originally designed this shaft, he didn't know I was going to be doing this, but that's okay. Joe, I'm going to adjust your design here. And I'm going to grab how you originally did this cylinder, and I'm going to shift select to this new item. And as you can see, I'm butting it up right against that bearing that was added later. Same thing on this side, butting it up right there. Done. I've now adjusted Joe's original design so that that bearing sits in there. And just because I want to have a little fun, and I know my guys will get a little bit upset with me for, doing this, but I'm going to I don't need that at the moment because I fixed this. Let me see, I want to see a quick animation of how this would work. So I'm going to come into my visualization, grab this roller and say, you know what? I want to rotate this guy about the height axis. I can see height right there. And I don't know, I want you to go around 360. I want you to go 5 times by 360 over 20 seconds. And that's perfect. And I also want to be able to make sure that I'm going to have a little fun. I want to add same thing to this fellow right here around the width axis. So that one's going to rotate as well with it. I haven't joined them together. And you know what? This fellow right here, that I'm going to add a new one to that as well around the height axis. So what I've done is I've added an animation path to each one of these. And when I turn it on, I can say, go ahead and play my animation. And now I get a cute little animation of this part going around and around. And I know I hit the Seeger, made it go the wrong way. Here we are. We've now used drag and drop. And gentlemen, ladies, we started, and that's the point I want to make here. We've started with a very, very simple sketch. So, when this all started, the first thing I did was just grab this sketch. That's how we started this. And now at this stage, I'm pretty much done with what I want to do with this part. Unless of course I need to hold it together. So yeah, of course, let me grab a fastener. I just want to put a bolt in here. And this is real quick. Give me a metric bolt. This is another type of intelligence. I want to put a screw. Let me see, what do I want? Yeah, let's get a socket head cap screw on here. It's metric. I remember it's an M10 by, M10. Let me by the pitch is 1.5. And I remember they should only be, I think we're going to have these guys go through 14. There we go. Excellent. Put that in. Yeah, sure. Go ahead, because it was linked. Oh, something's wrong. It's not long enough on this one. So let's go back and look at that again. Come in. Wait a second. I didn't quite like the way I did that. It's not, I really wanted that to be a socket head cap screw. And, I really want it to be a little bit longer. So, I'm going to make it 25 mil. Go ahead. I've changed those. And you know what? I need them on the other side as well. So shift select, use my tri-ball to just move them over here. Done. Lock it into position and mirror those. Link it. Excellent. So as you can see, we've now added our bolts, and here's a very simple trick, which I think is very clever. I notice they stick out of the bottom. I don't want them to. It's really easy. I just say trim. I want to take this guy. I really need you to trim based on that bottom plane, just as if I was taking a face mill and facing that off, and go ahead. And because they're all linked, I've now trimmed all those bolts to the bottom. And we finished our drawing. Last thing we need to do, of course, is to take this whole thing and say, well, I'd like to have, if you don't mind, drawings of everything that I've created. So this is where I'll simply say, I want to save this. And I'm going to just say, it's called webinar. And I've saved my file. And now I'm going to use an advanced feature called the bulk drawing creation. And we're going to come in and say, well, I'd like the drawing of my mounting plate, the bracket that I created. Here it is down here. I'd like also the flange. I want all of these to be drawn. Oh, I've updated the roller, the shaft, the lever. And do I need this? Yeah, I do. And I want a picture of the Seeger as well. So based on my work, it's now going out and it is creating, as you can see, live, creating all of these different parts in the drawing. And now in one fell swoop, I was able to get a drawing of this entire part, as you can see, with bill of material. And the bill of material, by the way, is great control. Anytime you want, oh, give me a new column. I need to know, I want to see what the part name is here. And of course it's linked, what is the part name? And as I go through these different things, you can see these are the different names we're looking at. The materials, what about if I add materials, will it also give me weights and things like that? So anytime I want, I can come in and say, yes, give me the part weight as well. So, because it would measure these based on the material and what is the description. And of course, it will be live and updated as we go along. And any of the work that you wish to do, all that work I did before, if I come in here and say, you know what, take this one, and I really want to do a section right through the middle of this, perfect. And now put that section directly on my drawing here. I'm going to move this around. Could we move this one a little bit over? This is really fun to work with, by the way. And now let's do a quick detail view of this and put that detail over there. And as you can see, in a very rapid period of time, we're getting all of these prints done. 1, 2, 3, all of the drawings. And by the way, things like, oh, I need some dimensioning. So go ahead and dimension this view. I'd like to use dimension from a particular line, give it above and to the right. And I've decided today that this is going to be where I want my 0, 0 on this particular part, pardon me. Go ahead and accept that. And very quickly, I get all of these dimensions. And if we want to zoom up and look at this, if I need to. So this is exactly what we had worked on in the beginning. And if I want to add my own little dimensions in here, it's very quick for me to say, hey, from this point to this point, 3 mil. Oh, yep, that's exactly what we wanted. What about on the top? Yes, that was also supposed to be 3 mil on there. So go ahead, give me a vertical dimension from this. And I might not like the way those are. So of course I can just later pick them up and move this. And if, oh, wait a second, that dog leg is going the wrong way. So the idea that it's very easy to pick on a dimension and just say, you go the other way and move that over. So you have control of how these things work. You need to move out here. So we have all of these different drawings that we could dimension now, all done for us very quickly. And for me to jump back and show you, we started with this simple sketch, and we ended up very quickly with a very, what I think is interesting assembly that uses drag and drop shapes and intelligence to create quite a remarkable assembly as we look at here. Allows me to jump back. This is what drag and drop does for you. It is a real time saver. IronCAD's drag and drop catalog system is a 3D palette. Useful data parts, you've seen me use features, tools, material, animation, and much more. And somebody, Peter from Atlanta, just asked me, can I have shapes with intelligence? Peter, that's what I was showing you here. If I jump back into IronCAD, when I added these, they had intelligence because their sizing, I didn't know the size of the shaft. It measured the shaft and automatically sized the suit. So the answer to that question is absolutely yes, we can have intelligence in these parts. And now, how does it all work? As you've seen, drag and drop, this is why we help you get to market faster. The design tools that absolutely leave traditional 3D CAD systems in the dust. Because you're saving effort. I'm only working in 3D. You didn't see me get in there and sketch and have to, constrain and do all that horrible work. For me, it was really simple and fun to be able to actually work with this and, show you the idea that all I was doing is, as I'm working, is, the idea that if I'm not using this every day, I have the opportunity, I can drop it, come back on Friday, and oh, that's how I built it. I just touch on it and say, I look at work that other people and I see how they built it. It's very intuitive. It's graphical. You watched me actually create a part and then store it. So I can leverage what I know how to do. And then finally, I'm skipping steps that are required by their software. I didn't need to sketch. I'm creating things as I go along. Now, how does this work for you? What's most important is that it does create better 3D design. And intelligent parts automatically position. You can actually use an iPad, and I could show you, I don't have my iPad on this demo, but you can actually use an iPad to create customized modular assemblies that have pricing and all of this IronCAD has bill of material with it. And this is the team that can help you do it. So as I said, I'm Bobby Fisher. I'm down in California, and Joe Brower's up in Washington, and Igor's over in Minnesota in the Midwest, and Matt's down a little south, and IronCAD is in Atlanta. This is the team that will help make this work for you. And our challenge is this. You've seen it. We're happy to prove this. We'll help make it happen. So what we're asking you to do is, if you haven't already done so, please download the trial and take our free training course, test it for yourself. It's an exciting product. Oh, I have one more question. The download is free. Simon, yeah, Simon's still here. Simon, the download is free. And the one that's online right now is a 24-hour trial, but contact any of your resellers and we can get any of the names on this list and we can get you a free 30-day trial. I'll make this available to anyone who attended this webinar. Thank you so much for your attention. If there are no other questions, I'm going to end this webinar, and I appreciate your attention to how we really feel that this drag and drop marketing, it's really quite a marvelous tool, and thank you very much. My pleasure.